tonight, battered again.
It was definitely not expected yesterday to be that extreme.
Manitobans pick up the pieces once more as destructive weather and at least one tornado blows through Westman. Also tonight, fleeing the flare-up. Which northern communities are under mandatory evacuation notice as wildfires bear down? Plus,
I've always thought it was best for St. Vital if I stayed on at City Hall. I've now concluded it's best for St. Vital if I move on from City Hall.
what's next for Councillor Brian Mays as he plans his exit from City Hall, but not local politics?
CTV News. Live from downtown Winnipeg with Marilee Caruso.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Catherine Dow. Marilee is away. A tornado tore through the Rossburn area Sunday night, spawning stunning video of the touchdown and aftermath. This on top of ongoing severe weather swamping communities across the province. CTV's Harrison Shin joins us now live with the details. So Harrison, how hard was the region hit?
Well, Catherine, rain, thunder and hail hit the Parkland region over Sunday evening. The footage and photos are pretty unreal, with at least 2 houses seriously damaged and several trees twisted. A storm, witnesses say, was quote, violent.
There's the trees and flying everywhere. Holy!
Aidan Iverson caught this destructive tornado on camera near Rossburn. And this is the aftermath. Roof, walls, windows, and household items all over the ground.
There was lots of kind of weird clouds and whatever as I'd been driving, but I seen it almost looked like little fingers coming down.
But it wasn't just this house. Trees were broken off. Environment and Climate Change Canada says Manitoba's tornado season has been unusually active, 5 so far.
We're probably at the seasonal normal now for Manitoba in terms of the number of tornadoes touching down. So, we still got another month and a bit to go of severe weather season. So it's we've got a lot of the summer to get through before that. It's just been a very, very active year.
ECCC is collaborating with the Northern Tornadoes Project, connected to the Canadian Severe Storms Laboratory, to investigate how strong Sunday's tornado actually was. The project's team arrived in the area Monday afternoon and is assessing the damage.
What we do is we kind of go through the whole area, take all the property and different structures that have been damaged, as well as trees, and then we'll find the highest estimated wind speed along the path.
Rossburn's Deputy Mayor Adam Grabowski says cleanup is underway. While there has been no reported fatalities or injuries so far, he had this to say.
Please understand that these families have lost a lot of their livelihood or their lives. I mean, you've lived in a home for many, many years. You build up memories into that home, and to please to try to avoid going out there. It's not a tourist attraction.
Now, we heard back from research meteorologist Pangsho Niemi. He wrote to me that they've determined the tornado was at least EF2 strength, which has the wind speeds of 180 to 240 kilometers per hour. They are still processing the data to get a more accurate estimate.
All right, thanks for this, Harrison. And it seems the intense weather isn't through with us just yet. An overland flood warning has been issued for parts of western Manitoba. That includes areas near the Assiniboine River like Russell, St. Lazare, Minneota, Verdun, Griswold, and Brandon. Those living near lakes and reservoirs, including the Shellmouth Reservoir, Rivers Dam, Minnedosa Dam, and Dauphin Lake, are being advised the water level may rise by as much as 3 feet in the coming days. You should also use caution around rivers, creeks, and drainage areas throughout the Assiniboine River Basin and Parkland region, and avoid driving across any flooded roads. You can find up-to-date information for your area by downloading the province's MB Ready app or heading to mbready.manitoba.ca. And it's a bad case of deja vu for people living in and around Lynn Lake. Last summer, fires forced people from their homes, and today they are once again on the move thanks to wildfires. The province has issued a mandatory evacuation notice for people in the area due to those rapidly advancing wildfires. Joining me now live with this is CTV's John Hendricks. So John, where exactly is this happening?
Well, Catherine, according to the province, the fire is roughly 11.5 kilometers from Lynn Lake. It's more than 5,000 hectares in size, and it's out of control. Now, Lynn Lake Mayor Brandon Dulowich told CTV News the fire was started by a lightning strike on Thursday. He said it grew rapidly due to the lack of precipitation in the area. And the province tells CTV News 19 personnel from CAN TF4, Manitoba's search and rescue team, and the Office of the Fire Commissioner are in Lynn Lake as we speak. They've set up a command post dedicated to value protection, and a number of fire apparatus from several departments have arrived over the weekend. Meantime, Marcel Colomb First Nations evacuees departed safely around 1 a.m. this morning. The Canadian Red Cross says it is well prepared to assist all the evacuees.
Each year, in each response, we work very closely with the community leadership in all of them. And yeah, we take learnings from each year, from each response, and working with each community. So, every year, and every response informs what we do moving forward.
The province has set Brandon as the host location for wildfire evacuees. A reception center has been set up, and I'm told that some evacuees have already arrived.
So, John, does this mean that all the evacuees are going to Brandon?
No, the Canadian Red Cross says that some of the evacuees are also going to be coming to Winnipeg for temporary accommodation. And the province says that it is working closely with the Canadian Red Cross to assist evacuees and ensure that they have access to emergency supports and lodging as needed for as long as needed.
All right, thanks for this, John. Now that brings us to our first check-in on weather with CTV weather specialist Colleen Brady. Between the wildfires, the floods, the intense tornado yesterday, Colleen, a lot to talk about, and judging by that radar, it looks like we have a lot more to come.
We could be in for another long night ahead, Catherine, across southern Manitoba and potentially into northwestern Ontario. Look how active the radar is across southern Manitoba. We have a thunderstorm just on our doorstep here in Winnipeg. In fact, it is raining already here in the city. But look at Brandon just getting hammered right now. Areas close to Brandon had been under a severe thunderstorm warning. Now, it looks as though it is at this point, well, the area just to the south of Brandon, folks, this is changing minute to minute, is still a severe warned system. So if you're in the Brandon area and those surrounding areas in the southwest corner, really be particularly vigilant. But you can see all these weather alerts across southern Manitoba, east into northwestern Ontario, lighting up this graphic like a kaleidoscope. All manners of weather alerts in effect, or many of them, all related to this same system. The bottom line is these severe thunderstorms that could develop tonight have the capacity to produce tornadoes. And an area that really doesn't need any more rain at all is Dauphin in the Parkland. Well, that area could see 50 at least millimeters more rain tonight. I'll have more details on how much could fall there and a look at all the active weather tonight and what comes next. Let's take a look right now, though, first through the Bathfitter Live Eye. It is brought to you by Bathfitter, your bath and shower experts for more than 40 years. In Winnipeg right now, it is 26 degrees. There is some light rain in the city. With the humidex, it feels like 34. Winds out of the east-southeast at 28 kilometers an hour, gusting to 37. The pressure is dropping, and the humidity right now, Catherine, is 78%.
Thank you so much for that, Colleen. Police are investigating what they're calling a suspicious death in Pimicikamak Cree Nation. Last night around 7 p.m., police received a report of an unresponsive female in the water near Beardy's Point. Officers found a 22-year-old female who had been pulled from the water and pronounced dead at the scene. Police say it is still awaiting autopsy results, and they are asking anyone with information related to the death to contact Crime Stoppers. Another veteran at Winnipeg City Hall is calling it quits. St. Vital Councillor Brian Mays announced he is not seeking re-election this October. Mays, who was first elected to council in 2011, says he is stepping away to run for a school trustee seat instead. CTV's Jeff Keel joins us now live. So, Jeff, why is Mays not running for council again?
Mays says this was a difficult term of office. He says things just didn't work out between himself and Mayor Scott Gillingham. Brian Mays is running in St. Vital Park, but not in the next election for City Council.
I have given it all I have for 15 years.
A very emotional Mays had to stop speaking several times during his remarks, announcing he will not seek re-election this fall. First elected as the St. Vital councillor in 2011, Mays listed his accomplishments as increasing funding to cut down on sewage spills, reducing the completion date by 50 years for combined sewer work, securing $11 million for St. Vital Park, and saving the St. Vital Library.
We did get 7 tracks, either built or announced. Somebody said to me once, is that how you want to be remembered? I said, yeah, I'm okay with that.
Mays says he was planning on 4 more years, but changed his mind, calling this term in office challenging and difficult. For years, he chaired the Water and Waste Committee as a member of the Mayor's Executive Policy Committee, but 2 years ago, Mayor Scott Gillingham removed him from EPC after Mays was critical of new zoning rules for housing.
It just didn't work out with the mayor. I will always wonder why. It would probably be the great regret of my career that it didn't work out.
The mayor chalked it up to democracy, saying you're not always going to agree with one another.
He's been a good colleague to work with over the years that I've been on council. We didn't always see eye to eye, but I'm really focused right now on all the ways that we work together.
Mays' announcement follows 2 other longtime city councillors, John Orlico and Janice Lukes, who have also said they're not running again. But Mays is staying in local politics. He's going for a school trustee seat in the Louis Riel division.
We'll give her hell. We'll be out campaigning hopefully by mid-July and see where the raft takes us.
Tomorrow is the first day that council and trustee candidates can register for the election. Mays says he will be endorsing a council candidate for St. Vital.
Now, Jeff, there was speculation Mays was considering a run for mayor. Do we know why that's not in the cards?
Yeah, Mays was asked that today. He said, you know, running for mayor never really burned inside of him. He said the St. Vital council job is the one he always wanted.
All right, thanks for this, Jeff. Meantime, Evan Duncan, councillor for Charleswood, Tuxedo, Westwood, says he will be seeking re-election. In a statement, Duncan says he's aiming to, quote, provide the kind of consistent representation our community deserves. Duncan was first elected in 2022, and he currently chairs the Property and Development Committee and sits on the Executive Policy Committee. And if you are thinking about running for either a council or school trustee position, registration begins tomorrow. This will be the first time candidates for school trustees will need to register and follow spending limits. You will need to register in person at the city clerk's department at 510 Main Street, and you're encouraged to make an appointment in advance. The office is open weekdays 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m., not including holidays. And candidates are barred from soliciting and collecting campaign funds or spending any money on the campaign until they are registered. The deadline for the registration is the end of the day on September 22nd. Winnipeggers head to the polls October 28th. You can also make sure you're on the voter list by heading to the city's website. Applications open later this week for the city's new vacant building grant. Beginning Thursday, property owners can apply for up to $35,000 per unit. The grant can be used to buy, repair, and/or renovate vacant buildings for housing. A total of $3 million is available, and you can find out more by visiting the city's website or by attending an information session scheduled for July 22nd. Applications are opened until August 17th, and the funds must be spent before October of next year. Also, the city's new empty building fees are now in effect. It means an annual fee will be applied to vacant properties that are subject to 1 or more Schedule A inspections. That is down from the 3 or more previously required. The fee starts at 1% of the property's most recently assessed value, increasing by 1% each year to a maximum of 5%. The city is looking to cap the number of free transit passes for youth as it figures out how to pay for the provincial program. The province is providing $10 million for the free passes, which are intended for those between ages 11 and 17 and high school students between 18 and 21. However, the public service estimates it's going to cost nearly $16.5 million to implement the program. That's accounting for lost revenue and hiring several more bus drivers to meet peak demand. The Public Service says it's made a lot of assumptions when arriving at some of those numbers, so it is proposing an initial cap of 30,000 passes until the full impacts can be studied. That is half the number of eligible young people estimated to live in Winnipeg. The $6.5 million difference will also be forwarded to next year's budget process. If there is strong demand and not enough additional funding, the program may only be able to run between September and March rather than September to August. Still to come tonight, rescuers in Venezuela are in a race against time. Days later, people are still being pulled alive from the rubble after devastating back-to-back earthquakes. But aftershocks continue to rattle the region. We'll have the latest when we return. Taking a look at the markets now, crude oil added $1.50. The Canadian dollar dropped 1/10 cent. Gold fell $57. The TSX lost 156 points. The Dow Jones gained 306 points, and the Nasdaq jumped 522 points. A 17-year-old male is dead following a rollover on a Manitoba highway. On Sunday at around 6:45 a.m., officers were called to a crash involving an SUV on Highway 405 near Lorette. Police say the SUV hit a ditch and flipped sometime overnight, but was not noticed until the morning. Officers discovered a severely damaged vehicle. The driver, who was from Dufresne, was found inside the SUV, initially concealed by the extent of the damage. He was pronounced dead at the scene. RCMP continued to investigate. There was a mass shooting today in Stade, Germany. 6 people were killed at a youth welfare facility. The facility provides temporary housing for pregnant women and young mothers. Mass shootings in Germany are relatively rare, as the gun laws there are more restrictive than those in the United States. Stade is about 40 kilometers from Hamburg. 3 people have been arrested. And there are more aftershocks in Venezuela. A magnitude 4.6 struck just north of the capital, Caracas, this morning, and the death toll now stands at more than 1,700. James Longman has the latest.
Thousands in Venezuela are pinning their hopes on miracle rescues this morning, but time is running out for anyone still trapped after the earthquakes that officials now call the worst natural disaster in the country's history. The U.S., one of at least 24 countries to send rescue teams, among them 86 specialist dog teams, even using small drones here to find survivors. But anger is growing at the government for being slow to act. New video shows a mother and her 18-day-old newborn pulled from underneath what remained of their apartment building in La Guaira after being trapped for 32 hours, both now in stable condition. The State Department posting this video of American crews helping to pull another mother and her 9-month-old baby to safety, both somehow suffering only minor injuries. And yesterday, 4 days after that pair of powerful earthquakes struck, a father and son pulled from the rubble alive. But for every miracle, devastation. The death toll has climbed now to nearly 1,500 and over 3,000 injured. But tens of thousands are still reported missing, and hundreds of aftershocks are still jolting the region. La Guaira, a coastal town, the worst hit. Thousands are still sleeping outside, worried more buildings might fall. Huge apartment buildings collapsed in seconds. Entire neighborhoods were wiped out. An estimated 58,000 buildings were damaged or destroyed across Venezuela. UNICEF says 1.8 million people need help, including nearly 700,000 children.
The focus of the relief effort is really on La Guaira, which is a state about half an hour normally from where I am in Caracas, but it's taking hours to get there, hours to get out. The true level of devastation in that part of Venezuela really is not yet known. James Longman, ABC News in Caracas.
Supreme Court of Canada nominee Glenn Joyal says he wants to uphold public confidence in the country's top court. Joyal, nominated to the Supreme Court by Prime Minister Mark Carney last week, was taking questions from MPs on a House of Commons committee today. Joyal, who has been Chief Justice of the Court of King's Bench of Manitoba since 2011, says fostering trust in the judiciary involves demonstrating that judges understand the lived experiences of people coming before the courts. Joyal says his time in Winnipeg helped him understand the judiciary's relationship with Indigenous people and calls the experience extremely humbling. The chair of the board, tasked with reviewing Supreme Court nominations, says what sets Joyal apart is his thoughtful, articulate, and forward-looking perspective on the role of the Supreme Court of Canada and his commitment to public service. Next to a disturbing story in Ottawa, where police are investigating the deaths of 2 children and their father. Investigators say the 8 and 12-year-old boys were found dead after officers performed a wellness check at a home in Ottawa's South End this morning. Their father's body was found inside a burning vehicle in a carpool lot in the community of Kemptville in eastern Ontario. Ottawa police say this is being investigated as a double murder and suicide.
A great deal of information and investigation is still required with the Ottawa Police and the OPP to piece together all these different elements. And so at this time we're limited on the information that we are going to share. Obviously it's a very tragic incident for the families, the friends, neighbors. It's certainly when children are involved, it's extra difficult to understand. So we're trying to give the family a little bit of time as well to brief with that prior to identifying the identity of the deceased, as well give them an opportunity to ensure that all family members have been contacted with.
Police are also investigating a third scene where a fire happened at a business. Returning to Winnipeg now, where firefighters are getting some new wheels.
It is new, brand new. Look at that. You'll be the first one to sit in this from the city of Winnipeg.
3 shiny new fire trucks will be rolling into Winnipeg fire stations over the coming weeks. As you can see on your screen, they're being built right here in Winnipeg at Fort Garry Fire Trucks. The $1.3 million purchase is part of the city's plan to buy 12 new fire vehicles over the next 3 years.
When we talk about purchasing new fire engines, we're talking about ensuring that when someone in our community needs help, whether it's a fire, a medical emergency, or a rescue, we can respond quickly, safely, and effectively.
The funding comes from a 2025 city budget pledge to spend $18 million on new fire trucks. Canada Day is right around the corner, but with it comes reduced hours or closures at several city services and businesses. Winnipeg City Hall and administrative offices will be closed to the public on Wednesday. If you want to hit the shops, CF Polo Park, Outlet Collection Winnipeg, Garden City Shopping Centre and Kildonan Place are all open from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. on Canada Day. But St. Vital Centre and Grant Park Shopping Centre will be closed. As for attractions, the Manitoba Museum, the Canadian Museum for Human Rights and the WAG will all be open. Can't forget about the Forks Canada Day celebrations with festivities beginning at 10:30 a.m. And if you're feeling extra celebratory, all Winnipeg and Brandon liquor marts will be open from 11 a.m. until 6 p.m. except for the True North Square one. Coming up next, Team Canada is one step closer to its first World Cup. We'll show you how Canada's FIFA frenzy is playing out in stadiums, bars, and living rooms.
And the long-range forecast starts off with Canada Day. A mix of sun and cloud for Winnipeg. Now, there is not going to be a shock to you at this point. The risk of a thunderstorm in the afternoon up to 24 degrees. Thursday, 24 under a mix of sun and cloud. Friday, again, a mix of sun and cloud with that chance of showers creeping back in up to 26 degrees. Then a hot first weekend of July, 27 both Saturday and Sunday. Chance of showers Saturday, bright and sunny on Sunday.
Canadian soccer fans are still basking in the glow of victory after last night's FIFA World Cup match. And as Team Canada moves on to the round of 16, there is a new sense of pride that is hard to miss. We'll know tonight who Canada will play next, but either way, it has been a historic World Cup for this country. CTV's Adrian Gabriel gives us a closer look at the new energy for soccer.
From patriotic pandemonium on the Pacific coast to a triumphant tidal wave of emotion along the shores of Lake Ontario. Inside bars in Montreal and watch parties in Edmonton, Canada's win is quickly becoming a where were you moment in Canadian sports history.
I was watching the game a bit at my house, and then I went to my aunt's house for a bit.
There's a great patio down the street from my house.
I was watching at home.
Schaffelberg's ball into the box, headed away by Ocon. It's Eustachio!
The swift and steady right foot of Stefan Eustachio catapulting Canada to victory. The team, this World Cup, has galvanized a nation.
They did it! I'm crying.
Overcome with emotion, Canadian women's soccer legend Christine Sinclair's tears of joy offer a glimpse of what this moment means for the sport and our country.
Okay, let's book our flight to the round of 16 at the World Cup.
Thousands did book a flight to LA to witness history in person. Thousands more will now head to Houston. On home soil, the win for some supersedes soccer.
We're living in a time where we're rethinking what it means to be Canadian. Having cultural touchstones like soccer matches and the program succeeding like it never has before, I think that's important to us.
You guys are Canadian heroes.
Coach Jesse Marsh's pitch side post-game speech sharing what this victory could mean.
Canadian heroes for the future children of this country who play this sport. The sport has a big future because of you guys.
If these pint-sized players on the pitch are any indication, Marsh's pep talk is on the mark.
But what do you love about soccer?
When you get a lot of good goals. Well, I usually play defense.
At my old school, soccer was like the biggest thing ever. Like, we fought over which fields we would play in. I could be a really good soccer player one day.
As the country falls in love with the beautiful game, the ties that bond a nation are pulled together.
A soccer awakening is afoot across Canada. As the men's national team elevates their game, a country is taking notice and taking to the pitch. Adrian Gobriel, CTV News, Toronto.
And all that excitement sure spilled over here in Winnipeg. This was the scene at the King's Head pub in the Exchange District Sunday afternoon. Fans erupted when midfielder Stefan Eustáquio broke the deadlock in stoppage time, punching Canada's ticket to the round of 16.
Oh, it was fantastic. You know, the boys played a full 90 minutes and, you know, they put their whole blood, sweat, and tears into it. And it was fantastic.
Oh, my life is charmed. We've been at this a long time. We have some good days, we have some bad days, but today was a good day.
Now, Canada will play either the Netherlands or Morocco in the next stage. Those two teams play tonight, and Canada will face the winner on Saturday in Houston.
CTV Skywatch weather brought to you by South Beach Casino and Resort. Visit southbeachcasino.ca.
CTV weather specialist Colleen Brady has your complete Skywatch weather forecast. I imagine if anyone has a soccer match outside tonight in southern Manitoba, they'd be facing some rain delays, Colleen.
Yeah, I would check with your organizers whether or not that game is even going to happen because, yeah, as you can see, a very active weather system again in progress. But I should mention quickly with respect to last night, we talked about that tornado that was confirmed in the Rossburn area. Environment Canada also received many reports about a possible tornado in the Roblin area just before 9 o'clock last night. Now, as of this morning, Environment Canada was saying that they don't have quite enough evidence yet to confirm the tornado, but it continues to investigate along with the Northern Tornadoes Project. So if you're wondering about what happened there, that is still being investigated. Meanwhile, we have a whole other round of severe weather now in progress, or it was severe at one point. We had that storm there close to Brandon that was severe. It is not at the moment, but that doesn't mean it could not become severe again. And I know there's a lot to take in here, so let me take you through it. Speaking of Brandon, out to Winnipeg, you can see these areas in orange, this band of orange, if you will. These communities, including both our cities, are under a severe thunderstorm watch. No surprise why. Areas further to the south in yellow, closer to the international border to the south of Winnipeg, under a tornado watch. So again, there is the potential, though, across the south that these storms could produce tornadoes. This is just the atmospheric conditions that we're contending with. So here's a look at the southeast, where we do have a severe thunderstorm that's in progress there, affecting areas like Piney, and you can see right there lighting up on your screen. Further east into northwestern Ontario, Kenora, and all these areas, including Fort Frances, under a tornado watch there. Further to the north, a severe thunderstorm watch. So you get the picture. This is a very potent low-pressure system. It originated out of Nebraska. It's been moving north toward Canada, and the warm front associated with it is what's tripping off these thunderstorms. They're largely responsible for it. So here's a look at how this plays out on the futurecast. You can see where that green turns to yellow and to orange to red. That's where rain is expected to fall particularly heavily. Now, Dauphin in the Parkland region under that rainfall warning. Now, this is pretty staggering. Environment Canada says that anywhere from 35 to 90 millimeters could fall in in the Parkland region until this starts to taper off tomorrow. But some areas, Environment Canada says, could see as much as 150 millimeters of rainfall as we get into Tuesday. And you can see why with this rain continuing to fall heavily in that Parkland area while it continues to come down across much of the southeast into northwestern Ontario. That heaviest part of that rain wraps back around into that region in the Parkland area tomorrow morning. Throughout the day, well, we'll see that rain continue in a good swath of southern Manitoba up into the Interlake and parts of the north as well. We could get clipped on the southern edge of it here in Winnipeg in the Red River Valley. And then as we move into Tuesday night, it still continues to fall, that rain, for many communities, taking us right into Canada Day. For tonight, we drop down to 16 degrees with showers already moving into the city. Thunderstorms likely, strong south winds, southwest winds with wind gusts up to 70 kilometers an hour possible. Strong southwest winds tomorrow, mix of sun and cloud for the commute. Windy, 18 degrees up to 24 in the afternoon with that chance of showers with a thunderstorm risk. And again, those exceptionally strong and gusty southwest winds here in the city. Quick swing around the province up into the northeast tonight. If you're seeing any fog in Churchill, that should lift later tonight down to 5 degrees there. Partly cloudy for Gillam, Island Lake, Thompson. There's a good chance of showers or a thunderstorm there tonight. Rain and winds in Thompson tomorrow up to 19 degrees. In the northwest tonight, good chance of showers or thunderstorms for most areas, but Lynn Lake, there's a risk of thunderstorms there. Otherwise, of course, contending with smoke with the wildfire situation in that community. More showers or thunderstorms possible around the region tomorrow. In the southwest tonight, showers and thunderstorms in progress. Overnight lows between 13 and 15 degrees. Showers and some pretty strong winds expected around Brandon up to 22. Dauphin, Swan River may also see thunderstorms as well. Winnipeg in the southeast, well, thunderstorms are on our doorstep just to the south of the city. Expect those to move in tonight. We drop down to 16 here. And then tomorrow again in the afternoon, a chance of showers. Areas to the south should be bright and sunny, but also very windy. Temperatures in the mid-20s. And in northwestern Ontario, good chance you'll see showers or thunderstorms there tonight. Overnight lows around 17 degrees. And then tomorrow, sunshine or a mix of sun and cloud with hot highs as warm as 27 in Dryden and Fort Frances. Now, Churchill also has seen some thunderstorms as of late. Jean-Claude sent this incredible photo in of that lightning there. That is recent. Now, Alan took this photo earlier this morning of this incredible roll cloud. Hard to say exactly how long it is, but he figured it started around Headingley. And as he drove, he was sort of almost following it. And he said it continued well north of Lockport. Incredible stuff. Send us your weather photos to Winnipeg Weather at ctv.ca.
Coming up, this side effect really stinks. Researchers are learning a common diabetes medicine can impact some people's smell. That's still to come in Medical Watch. A new national study is illuminating how Canadians feel about supervised consumption sites and their perceived effects on the communities around them. These findings, published in the International Journal of Drug Policy, have just been released as Winnipeg's first mobile supervised consumption site is expected to open later this summer. Joining me now to share more on this is Dr. Monty Ghosh, an addictions medicine physician and one of the study's co-authors. Dr. Ghosh, thanks so much for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
So I understand this study, the data tracks back to 2022. Tell me what you and your team set out to find exactly.
So we're really interested in determining what the public perception of supervised consumption sites are around our country, and also whether the education that we're providing through a public health perspective is actually working with the population. And what we've learned is that the general public as a whole is reasonably supportive of supervised consumption services and feel that they're a necessary intervention to help support those who are most vulnerable.
Very interesting. So how did you exactly gather this data? Where did all this information come from?
So it was done in survey format. It was a survey that we had released across the country and was supported through Leger, which is a survey support service that does a lot of surveys across the country. And so, yeah, they had set the survey across various different groups and populations in almost every province and jurisdiction. And it was very much representative of each province's population. So, for example, Ontario had much more surveys that were conducted than, say, for example, PEI. And it was was a good cross-section of the population as well. And what we gathered from the survey was that, yeah, the population was generally understanding that these services are essential as a health service to support people who are using substances, that these services, supervised consumption services, are helping individuals access treatment services, access social services, and were generally beneficial towards their well-being. But what the survey also looked at was to see whether or not individuals felt that these supervised consumption sites could be problematic as well, and how they perceived the problem and the nuances behind these problems. And what we saw was that the general public basically felt that these services were not problematic in terms of increasing crime rates, increasing needle debris. In fact, they felt that this would actually decrease needle debris. It would also decrease public observance of intoxication as well. And this is in line with what we're seeing with the evidence from previous studies that have been conducted throughout the world, whether it's Australia, Canada, and the United States. So again, this is very much in keeping with what we've seen from the literature and the evidence.
So, as you know, a supervised consumption site, a mobile one, is set to open here in Manitoba in the coming months. And additionally, in the province you're at, I understand 2 of these facilities are set to close soon in favor of treatment hubs. You are on the front lines of the drug crisis. You see this every day. So there's been always a lot of pushback, or at least I've heard a lot of pushback in our community to these sorts of sites. So from your perspective, do you feel these sites are safe and effective? Some of these concerns, are they founded at all? What's your kind of take on how these can be used going forward?
Absolutely. So what I feel is that these sites are necessary as an intervention. They can definitely help people. Do I feel like there's potentially public disruption happening to a certain extent? Absolutely there is. But what's crucial here is that we need to work with the community to make sure that these can be the best it can be. And that shutting them down is not a solution, but working with the community to make sure it's the best it can be and deals with the needs of both the people who it's meant to support as well as the community as a whole is crucial here. And so again, we are all part of the community, whether you're a business in the community, whether you're a resident living in the community, or whether you're a person who's using the supervised consumption site. And so really all need to work together to make sure these sites can be the best it can be. And again, closing them is not the solution, which is what we're seeing as being implemented here in Alberta.
So now that you have all this information, what can be used with, like, how can it be used going forward is what I'm meaning to ask. What's kind of the next step with this data?
Absolutely. So one thing I do want to stress is that often I feel that these supervised consumption sites are used as a political weapon, if you may. The government tends to think that the public is against them and that therefore they should be closed, although the evidence shows the contrary. What I think this information should be used for is it should be used to inform the government that the population is not necessarily opposed to these sites, and that using this as political leverage may not be in the best interest of both the government as well as the population it's meant to serve. And so I'm hoping that governments across the country, in provinces especially that are not necessarily conservative or that are conservative and are maybe looking towards closing these sites, that's not necessarily what the public may want, and that more public engagement needs to happen before they shut down these sites, and further work needs to happen in terms of making sure these sites are functional for all people in the community.
All right, Dr. Groch, we will leave it there. Thanks so much for joining us and sharing your insights.
Thanks for having me.
Long-term use of GLP-1 drugs for diabetes was associated with an increased risk of disturbances in smell and taste. That is according to an analysis of health records from 900,000 people with type 2 diabetes between 2017 and 2026. Half used GLP-1 drugs and none had smell or taste impairments at the start. Over 2 years, GLP-1 users had an 81% higher risk of developing smell disturbances and a 52% higher risk of taste disturbances. However, the actual rates of these issues was quite low, less than 1% in both the GLP-1 group and the control group. A new study is urging people to get medical attention immediately if they come into physical contact with a bat. The reminder comes as the latest issue of the Canadian Medical Association Journal focuses on the case of an 11-year-old boy who died of rabies nearly 2 years ago. The child came into contact with a bat at a cottage in northern Ontario. His parents did not take him to a doctor as the boy did not have any bites or scratch marks. He died a month later. Doctors are reminding people that rabies treatments are nearly 100% effective if given right after exposure. However, once symptoms appear, there is no treatment or cure for the fatal condition.
Medical Watch is brought to you by Manukin Koster Denture Clinic.
Coming up, a battle for the Burt. Local artists are hoping to land a unique gig. That's next.
Spotlight sponsored by the Casinos of Winnipeg, presenting Nearly Neil and the Solitary Band.
Downtown Winnipeg had the honor of hosting some talented artists over the weekend. Downtown Live took over the Burton Cummings Theatre on Saturday. 20 performers hit the stage, performing everything from Bollywood fusion dancing to beatboxing. The winner of the competition will perform at the upcoming Burt Block Party. The CEO of the Downtown Winnipeg Biz says the event showed off the diverse culture of downtown Winnipeg.
We had a family band doing Jamaican music. We had an Indigenous hoop dancer that went into beatboxing. We have a young saxophone player. We have all ages. We have all genres. We had a magician that performed a Houdini-style event on stage. So really, we're seeing ages, cultures. It just really is representative of actually who is in downtown and what Winnipeg is made up of. And it's incredible talent and just these beautiful cultures.
Kate Fensky adds the Biz is trying to provide more unique and fun experiences for people living in and visiting downtown. Well, it was another winning weekend at the box office for the latest Toy Story movie.
Bonnie needs help from someone at least from the same century. So long, toys.
The fifth entry in the Disney Pixar franchise made another $70 million U.S. across North America, closing in on $300 million since its debut. Supergirl opened in second place as expected, but ticket sales were well below earlier projections at $38 million. And Obsession continues to have a hold on moviegoers, scoring third place with $9.8 million. And here is your Monday primetime lineup, kicking things off with Children Ruin Everything at 7, and American Ninja Warrior comes up next at 8. It's all right here tonight on CTV.
Women's clothing provided by RW & Company. Salon services provided by S&T Spa Salon.
A severe thunderstorm watch continues for Winnipeg. Now, I just want to show you quickly, this storm just to the southeast of Winnipeg is severe right now. Quick look at the almanac, 26, the high temperature for the day, but also so humid. Could see showers and thunderstorms well throughout the night tonight. There's a risk of more tomorrow afternoon, 24 degrees. Canada Day, 24. We'll do that again, Catherine, on Thursday.
Thanks, Colleen. In Toronto, there are beavers representing 48 different countries. It's a scavenger hunt of sorts, celebrating artists and the World Cup. Heather Butts reports.
Hanging out on sidewalks, in building lobbies, and outside popular restaurants, these 4-foot-tall rodents will likely stop you in your tracks. The colorful cast of characters welcoming people to a downtown Toronto neighborhood.
See people walk by and pat it like this. Yeah.
Entertaining even for the artists who painted them. Jonas Lobo was proud to see the Portugal-inspired beaver he completed with his father on display.
It's nice to be able to get involved and to be able to showcase my pride for my Portuguese heritage and Canada.
The father-son duo, the only pair out of the dozens of artists selected to decorate these beavers, which honor the 48 countries participating in the World Cup, plus a few extras in celebration of the global event.
It was nice to bring both of our approaches to art together. We used a lot of inspiration from Portuguese blue and white tiles, which is called Portuguese azulejo.
An opportunity for the artists to work together, blending their love of culture, country, and sport.
I coached soccer for 16 years and multiple teams, and participating this way in the World Cup gives me the illusion that I'm part of the big tournament.
The sculptures were manufactured locally, then transformed. A diverse and lighthearted Canadian touch welcoming the world.
I think what I like the most is seeing people react to them. And
the beavers now part of an artistic scavenger hunt, extending the buzz of the World Cup into a different part of Canada's largest city.
The whole goal of it is to really get people to connect, to interact, and to spend time in our area and really experience what it has to offer.
No two are alike as the artist's personality shines through their work, each with a connection to the country their beaver represents. Margaret Cresswell giving a nod to her family heritage with what she calls the kilted Canuck.
Well, of course she had to be wearing a kilt, so she's wearing a classic tartan.
The symbols of Scotland emblazoned onto the beaver, right down to thistles on the soccer ball and Nessie, the monster from Loch Ness.
I think the beaver is a symbol of strength for Canada, and I think that everyone who visits here and sees our beaver sculptures understands that we are a people of strength and from around the world.
Heather Butts, CTV News, Toronto.
Kind of has shades of the Bears on Broadway.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking of.
They're pretty impressive, though. It's a good way of introducing us to soccer fans that come to us globally. All right, that's going to do it for us. But remember, you can watch CTV News anytime on our website, ctvnewswinnipeg.ca, and join us for CTV News at 11:30. Good night.